Hello everyone, I'm Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com, and it's been a long time since I've made videos for the YouTube community. Can't remember, I've been really busy. Trading is always priority number one for me. That is what I am to my core. Making videos is secondary, but hopefully this starts to become a new weekend routine of mine. But before we go over, I want to go over my top current holdings. In the future, if I can remember any big losses, I always have trailing stops. I never let anything get out of hand. I'm very risk averse, so you're never going to see huge losses on my end unless I get long a stock and unexpected news happens immediately afterwards and there's a big gap down. It's happened before in biotech stocks, but normally I review on Biopharm Catalyst to make sure if there's any upcoming catalysts to avoid those kind of names. But it still happens every once in a while. Sometimes it's an analyst downgrade. I remember one time I got hit on a very large stock. It might have even been Cisco on an analyst downgrade, even though that doesn't sound like the right ticker actually. But it does happen. But the bottom line, I know that it seems to a lot of traders, not traders, but new traders, that it can be very overwhelming, the amount of stocks that I trade and hold in good markets. I want to make it very clear before we go over all my top current holdings that during the time of market pullbacks like we see here, my main focus is day trading the SPY intraday using puts and calls and or futures. I like futures because I can use hard, good to cancel stop orders based on price levels in the S&P 500 SPX, rather than on the options change where theta, vega can change rapidly depending on the market, making support and resistance levels even risky on options, which is why normally when I trade SPY options, especially in the put side, as soon as I get an entry into a position, I normally am selling half at break even right away. I make the mention of this because there are a lot of long signals right now, and there were even a lot during this chop. Do you know when we didn't have a lot of long signals? This chop. And guess what happened? Bang. Guess how many long signals we had during this period? I would say during this few sessions here, we averaged about one a day. During this final flush right here, there was a full week where I did not have one single end of day long signal based on the parameters that I require before any position enters into my end of day portfolio. So with that being out of the way, you might be seeing a lot of long positions now, but that's a testament to the market. Every single advanced decline line is at all-time highs on every major indice minus the NASDAQ. The New York Stock Exchange advanced decline volume line is at all-time highs. That tells me that the market, even though short-term it's extended and the market loves to fill gaps, we should expect at the very least the market will probably at some point need to at least fill this gap and old resistance will become new support. We will see if that happens. But for now, the trend is up and everything, not everything is aligned. We will go over the general market indices on this YouTube page for everyone in subsequent video lessons on the weekend. But right now, daily time frames are all lined up for the technical indicators that I use. But the weekly and monthly time frames on all of the major market indices are still mixed. So it's not the perfect ideal environment. When my monthly indicators are in alignment, green means go, red means pause. That's basically how red normally means if it's all red, short. If it's red and green mixed, it's kind of like, it's going to be choppy, kind of sloppy. If it's all green, green means go. I can increase size, which right now in the market, it's choppy, so I'm still swinging small. Which now gets into, before we get into the top current holdings, I want to now talk a little bit, since this is basically my introductory video here to YouTube again, want to go over some things. So right now, there's a lot of long signals, and it's a byproduct of a market that is stronger than a lot of traders think right now. Or else these signals wouldn't be triggering and producing, and most of them are working. They weren't all working. I got chopped out of a lot right here, but still, I didn't go to 0% investments and 100% cash here. During this entire sideways chop, I still had about a 40% long position. The only way I can still be long stocks is if they are trending sideways or moving higher. I cannot be long stocks if they're trending lower, setting a series of lower lows and lower highs. I have trailing stops. I will be taken out. If those stops are not hit, that means I am still in the stock and eventually it can go higher, like some of the names that we're going to review that I've been long for quite some time now. So there's a difference between signals in strong markets and weak markets. This isn't even a strong market, and I'm overwhelmed with signals. I'm fully invested. I was fully invested heading into Friday's session. I'm fully invested heading into Monday's session. I have a lot of long signals for members of the website to take if they have capital. And if capital gets raised and none of these stocks have ran above my good to cancel buy stop limit orders, which we'll go over later on, once again in another YouTube video, then I'll take the trades as capital gets raised. But if capital doesn't get raised in the morning, if the market runs higher right out the gate and or gaps up, I'm making this video before futures open, I just have to hold my positions. And as each new long trade sets up, I just got to watch it. And I got to root for everyone that gets in it and makes money off of it. Hopefully everybody can do that. So with that being said, right now, I'm fully invested. And I'm fully invested taking only 1% of my capital per trade ideas. Whoa, 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 you might say. 100 stocks? How can you possibly track 100 stocks? Well, it's easy for me, first off, because it's on an end-of-day basis. It's all basically done via the computers at Interactive Brokers. I set good to cancel sell limits and good to cancel sell stops on almost every stock unless there is no overhead resistance. Then I let it trend as high as it wants to go. There's no set good to cancel sell limits. But on any stock that has overhead resistance, I will set some sell limits to make sure that I take profits if those old resistance levels are reached. All of this needs to be stated and gotten out of the way because the bottom line is, yes, on an end-of-day basis right now, I have a ton of long positions. But remember, the only way for that to happen is if they are working. That means everything is working. Now, with that also being said, I can take 1% capital size per position because I have the capital to do so. I do this for a living. This is my full-time job. I do it on the island of Maui, 5,000 miles plus away from New York City. I have very fast internet, so I also day trade. Intraday is where the real alpha is because I know how to focus on low float, massive volume, lower price stocks. The setups aren't clean like they were even last year or 2017 and early 2018. Those clean setups are kind of gone, so it's kind of been choppy, but it doesn't matter. The end-of-day signals, they're taking all my time right now, so that's my focus. But also, I have a short squeeze scanner on stocks price anywhere, but my main focus is $1 to $20 with short float over 20%, and I have price and indicator parameters set up to trade these stocks intraday and swing them longer, which are part of some of the end-of-day positions, whenever end-of-day signals aren't plentiful. So there's intraday methodologies that I can teach you that a lot of other traders use also. I happen to know a few traders out there that use the exact same kind of methodologies that I use intraday. But the end-of-day stuff is what my website is really about because I know a lot of people do not do this full-time, do not have the ability to trade intraday and have real full-time jobs. And that's where my end-of-day methodology comes in. So with that being said, traders with smaller accounts will never want to just put 1% of their account capital per position. You're going to always want to do at least 5% or at the most, I never recommend going over 20%. You invest over 20% per any long signal, you get an overnight gap down, that's going to be painful. I would rather not do that. My preferred portfolio for everyone is that sweet spot in the middle. 10 stocks, 10% of your capital per position, and that's it. You cut your losses on the ones that don't move higher immediately, and we'll go over how to do that in future videos, and you ride your winners. If something doesn't work immediately, you get out, pay the commissions, and move on. Now, this takes me to another point. If you're undercapitalized, I hope you have low commissions, or else you might need to do the 20%, 5 stocks at max. If you trade where I trade at Interactive Brokers, I also have good commission rates at Tastyworks for my options. I have good commission rates at E-Trade where I use E-Trade Pro. I also have other brokerage accounts where the rates are low, like Lightspeed. But if you have higher commission costs and a lower capital structure, you're going to need to go 20%, 5 stocks. So the allocation, though, that I recommend to people is 10 stocks, 10% per position. Before 2018, I was routinely putting 5, 7.5, 10% of my capital per position. Ever since the summer of 2018, it's been 1% every trade, and it's actually working out. And we're going to go over those. So the stocks that you're going to see here come from my evening scans. I run multiple evening scans. I look at thousands of charts every night, but the most important setups come from my CanSlim scan, which looks for stocks that meet the CanSlim criteria developed by William O'Neill and on investorsbusinessdaily.com, investors.com, and then from my Perfect Speculator scan. If you don't know what that is, the book, The Perfect Speculator by Brad Kodeshwar, has to be one of the most underrated, simple to read, greatest stock market books for actually how to find winning stocks. We have developed a scan that looks exactly for this criteria. I've loosened it up a little bit to find any stock that fits these criteria, so I don't have price requirements, but that's where my best stocks come from. Then the next best group of stocks that I take long have the high short float. The higher the short float, the better I like a signal. If a stock is in my CanSlim scan, Perfect Speculator scan, and has a short float over 20%, like RH. You see this white thing right here? This is when I first went long RH. It is now up 55% since that date. It hasn't been smooth sailing, but for instance, if you have a small account, you draw an uptrend line here, it closes below that uptrend line for now, you're out. If you just recently got into RH, it closed below that uptrend line, you are out. But RH was CanSlim quality. It's now Perfect Speculator scan quality. It wasn't back then, but it has over 30% of its shares, of its float short. So those are always going to be my best stocks. So with all of that out of the way, and we'll expound on it, you have any questions whatsoever, please post them in the comment section below, and I promise you, when I have time during the week, I will get back and answer every single comment, question you have, unless it's rude. I don't have time for that. I'm way too busy over here. And then also, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And like I said, if we ever have any large losers, if anything crazy happens on my end, which it did not this week. This week was a very good, positive week with very few hiccups or interruptions in my account balance growing. So there's nothing to review on the negative side. But if there's anything you want me to review, we can more than likely do that. And also, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. So I don't want this video to get too much longer. So right now, we're going to run through all of my quote top current holdings right now that I've marked up. And like I said, there's a lot of them. And I might not have my full 1% account capital in each of these names anymore. I also want to remind you, 1% of my account capital is enough that if I make 10% on the trade, everything is okay, even on Maui. I can live anywhere I want to in the world, and I am okay. So keep that in mind as we're moving forward. I'm not trading. 1% of my account capital isn't $100 or $200. Let's say that. So just remember that. There are times when I will push it. Right now, I've got a lot of positions, because right now I can't trust any one signal. I'll show you, and a lot of the best signals I'm getting are thin, so I can only put so much. I wouldn't want to put 5 to 20% of my account capital into a stock like NRC that averages only about 50,000 shares per day, 40,000 shares per day. I'm not interested in anything like that. So as we move on, just keep all that in mind. It's all relative to your risk tolerance, to the amount of capital you have. Once again, any questions whatsoever, please enter them below and I'll respond to all of them. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Okay, so the first one I want to go over is GHSI. The white arrow here normally shows up a day after the long position. Now, I want to tell you something really quick. We're using Telechart version 7. I am. Intraday, I use Telechart version 18. my E-Trade Pro charts. I do not, and Thinkorswim even. I even use Thinkorswim for the SPY whenever I'm trading SPY. But I do not use Telechart version 7 on any other time frame other than end of day. And the only reason why is in my trading career, I have become addicted and or used to seeing BOP line up with the price color bars. So, for instance, if you look at the BOP bars down here, they match up with the price bars up here. Telechart version 18 does not do that. So, on an end-of-day basis, I go ahead and stick to version 7, but this is a very crude, old software to work with. But on an end-of-day basis, this is what I use. But remember, intraday, I'm using version 18, E-Trade Pro, and then when I'm trading SPY, Thinkorswim. I'm not using these charts. So the first one I want to go over is GHSI. GHSI was a new long signal here. The good to cancel buy stop limit order was a tick higher than the closing price. And once again, Telechart doesn't round up for these small prices. So I always recommend go to stockcharts.com, get on a more granular time frame like 1 month or less, and then look, or even on your trading platform. And you always go one tick above the high of the day. That's where I set my good to cancel buy stop limit orders. Perfect entry or no entry. If I don't get filled there, oh well, it goes without me. And if it doesn't trade up and through my price, I don't get long. If it gaps up, comes back down to my good to cancel buy stop limit price, I do not want it until it's back below that price and then trades up and through that price. On that note, GHSI fit everything, worked out. It's already hit 50% of my profit target at 33, so I'm already out of half of it. But look at GHSI. 2 days, 18% gain. Not too bad for a hard-working individual like yourself that doesn't have time, but just only has like about 15, 20 minutes either after I post this in the evening or before the market open to set your orders up exactly like me and front run me. I give you the good to cancel buy stop limit order and the stop levels before I enter them into my interactive brokers platform, which is another thing I'm going to tell everybody. I only pay $1 commissions per trade on an end-of-day basis, even putting thousands and tens of thousands of dollars per position in the higher price stocks. It's only $1 to interactive brokers, so low commission cost is a must. GHSI, though, 18%, 2 days. Not too bad for a hardworking individual like yourself. GAIA also was a new long position. Appears that I'm chasing, but it's heavily short. In just 2 days, GHSI in 2 days, 11% gain. Whenever I post my end-of-day returns, I always round down. So if this would have said 11.99, I don't represent it as a 12% gain. I try to factor in commissions and represent it as 11% gain. But either way, if you are long, GAIA, like I said, you draw an uptrend line, a close below the uptrend line, you're out. But me, I'm always splitting my stops up. So me personally, GAIA now, any stock that's up 20% in 1 day, I immediately take 20% to 25% profits, day market sell orders the next morning, the very next morning. But GAIA isn't up 20%, so I split my stops up and trail them higher. I currently have one here, 25%, one there, 25%, 25%, and my final 25% stops here. So I got 4 stops. They're all split up evenly amongst those. On GHSI, I now have 1 stop here. That's a profit stop, barely. And then a final stop right below, just right below the entry. Then BLDP. This has been a longer hold, but this shows you the power of trends holding. So BLDP has rallied higher the whole way. The new long position was here. Bam. 53% gain in 4 months. That's what I like to see. What did the long signal look at whenever I went long BLDP? Bam. There you go. So BLDP, I can't remember where it came from either way, but I want to show you what I'm always looking for. That candle over candle, the heavier above average volume, or it can be just heavier volume, or it can be above average, but it has to be one or the other, and then the increase in that BOP indicator. I also check RSI, MACD, stochastics. I check everything, but for this one, for now, in this video, we're just going to go over this unless you guys request that we go over the other indicators. But as you can see, BLDP, yes, it pulled back here, and yes, I have been right here, stopped out of half right there, but the final stop on the original entry is all the way down here.
We put half here. BLDB finds a bottom there, continues higher. Now remember, larger accounts, you can have a stop here, a profit stop here, a profit stop here, a sell stop here, and a sell stop here now if you want. Or if you want to be super tight, you can draw an uptrend line right here, close below the uptrend line, you get out of BLDP. ANIP was a recent long position right here. You can see what it looked like on the day I went long. Candle over candle, above BOP going in the right direction. This was from my perfect speculator scan. Also has a high short float. What happened? 2 days, bam, 9% gain. Very, very nice for a 2-day hold in ANIP. DCO was a new long position. This is perfect speculator quality. I believe also it was an earnings winner, but it pulled back. That's another thing I like. I've got to tell you guys, cancel quality, perfect speculator quality, high short float. And if it happened to beat on the top and bottom line, great. If it happened to beat on the top and bottom line, raise guidance for the year or for the quarter and upcoming quarters, and it's canceled quality, perfect speculator quality, and a high short float. I love these kind of names. Now, DCO, it didn't match all those, but either way, the signal here, candle over candle, heavier above average volume, increase in green BOP, boom, it worked out right away. So what is that, 4 days? What is the gain there? About 11%, so not too bad. Also, remember that pullback we just saw on Monday and Tuesday with all the growth names? If I was only trading the best of the best leading stocks that are near all-time highs, I wouldn't have participated in this past week's rally. But my methodology looks at trend join signals, breakout signals, continuation signals, and oversold signals. I take all four, and it just depends on the kind of market environment we are in. But like I said, I scan a lot of stocks. This is what I look for. But there's DCO. KPTI, this was the long signal back here. Let's take a look at what it looked at when I went long. You see the candle over candle. You see the heavier above average volume, the increase in green BOP. And look at this little guy. I don't even know how much this is up now. Don't have a whole lot of this left anymore. This candle right here really threw me off, and this pullback and this little shakeout right here. Better market conditions, you don't get shaken out, and you have the entire 94% for those 3 months. PLUG, there's a new long. PLUG, perfect speculator quality and a very heavy short float. No shock that it worked out. Plus, this thing is hitting my intraday short squeeze low price scanner that I told you about. The stocks that are looking at 1 to 20 that have short float over 20 that meet certain volume and price requirements over a short and longer term time frame. Plug was in there, so whenever I see it this day right here in my perfect speculator scan, it's an easy new long signal for me. Candle over candle, heavier above average volume. By the way, this blue spike line here is a pocket pivot point signal indicating it's the heaviest volume on an up day over the past 10 sessions, over any down session. Increase in BOP, look at what happened. Boom, worked immediately. What is that, a week of price action and a 17% gain? Not too bad. SPAR, you can see SPAR over here. This is a trend join on an earnings winner. This would be a trend join signal. Candle over candle, above average volume, increase in green BOP, earnings winner, SPAR, bam. Hasn't been right here, tried to test, but there's the final sell cut loss level. SPAR, 17% in 2 months. Not bad for a slow moving stock. ENLV, let's go back here. This is another trend join signal on an overall nice chart. Hard to see. Let's get close. The heavier above average volume, the increase in the green BOP, the candle over candle, overall solid price structure within the price pattern. Initially pulled back to start off, never hit my final stop loss. Bam, 151% gain in a little under 4 months. Wouldn't you like to have that return for very little work? I set it all up. I give you the game plan and the signal. I can't tell you for sure that this is going to work. That's impossible. Anyone ever tells you that, they are lying to you. All I can do is give you the setup, give you my parameters. If it works out immediately, awesome. Now, some traders, I always say, if it doesn't work out immediately, you gotta cut your losses. So it is true. If like I do tell new traders this, connect the downtrend lines here. If it doesn't move up immediately, just get out. If you trade like that, and if you don't structure your stops the way that I structure them, boom, you were immediately knocked out. Guys, it's going to happen. It isn't a big deal. You take your money and you move it into the next name because the signals are going to keep coming as long as the market is strong. I even get signals in ETFs. Koru. This was the signal on Koru. Koru, candle over candle, above average volume, heavier, green bop. Couple days, doesn't trigger, finally triggers this day intraday. Up and through 1559, the good to cancel buy stop limit level is 1560. It triggers that session, obviously, because it goes up to 1565 is the high of the day, and then barely avoids being a final cut loss right out the gate. But look at what it has done in a very short amount of time. 33% in a little over 1 month. Not bad, but we even get signals in those kind of ETFs. RH is one of my favorites, and I'll be honest with everybody, RH is actually an add signal this weekend. I won't be able to add to it unless it gaps down and I raise over 1% capital and can call on the trade to the interactive broker system. But I'm already long from back here. RH earnings winner, hammer candle pattern off the earnings win, low a day price support level, above average volume, keeping the max green bop. And this one worked immediately and it's just kept working. It's been beautiful. Pure perfection. Actual trend join ad signal, RH. Remember, the short data isn't always accurate. Depends on the website. I check Yahoo. I also, intraday, my intraday scanner is Trade Ideas. I use Trade Ideas. I check the short float on Trade Ideas. I check the short float at Yahoo. And I check the short float at FinViz. I add them together, divide by 3. That's the short float to me. And I know that it's only reported twice a month. It's a good enough indication of how people feel about the stock. I don't need it to be 100% accurate. But RH, a bigger stock, 55%, 3 months. Hey, not bad for you considering I do all the work for you. I tell you exactly how I'm trading it. You don't have to do anything. You go to your 9-to-5 job. You set your orders up before you go to work. Maybe you get to work. Then after the stock fills, you then set your good to cancel sell stop orders. I give you those exact levels. And then you go about your day. You don't have to work too hard. We're running out of time here, so I got to start flying through the rest of these. But we can spend more time when there's less of them. It's just a really good market, and everything I'm touching right now is working. It's not always going to be like that. It just happens to be like that right now. But you can see SPWH, 20% gain in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions. I've already taken 50% of my profits. I believe that happened. It touched it. I can't remember. I might have been using a whole level like 5, I think is what happened, and it already hit 5, so it already took me out a half. But it was a little bit arbitrary on that one. Normally I don't do that, but either way, I'm already out a half for a 20% gain. It's still up 21%. SPWH, though, also heavily shorted. TDOC, new long position. Whoops, wrong button. New long position right here. It's actually an ad signal, technically, this weekend. It's good if it trades up and through 71. 7101 would be the good to cancel buy stop limit order. Here's your first cut loss level on the ad signal. There's your final cut loss level, 1 cent below the low a day. But from the original signal, bam, 11% gain in 4 sessions. Pretty nice. There's only 3 more I want to go through. PLMR, I got an ad signal on this day. It has traded up through that level. 35.87 is my good to cancel buy stop limit order. It traded above that on September 11th. However, it did not trigger on my end at Interactive Brokers, so the order is still live on my end for possibly adding to PLMR at 35.87. Now, if it trades up and through it, if I don't have 1% of my account capital available, I won't be adding to my position. But from the original signal, PLMR is a 49% gain in a little over 4 months. All right, I really want to wrap this video up. CPRT, I want to just show you some work very long term. CPRT, even a very slow one. Let's go back to show you what it looked like the day that I went long. Bam. Can't remember if this was an earnings winner right here. It looks like it might have been, but boom. Candle over candle, hammer candle off that recent support, a heavier above average volume, increase in green bop, and look at this steady trender. That's beautiful. You don't get that too often, especially during a market pullback. 40% gain in a slow-moving stock in 6 months. Tell you what, there's not a whole lot of work, is it? And then the last one I want to go over before I wrap this video up, JWM. JWM, the long signal was here, triggered and filled here. Man, oh man, it came close to running my stops. But It hasn't yet. Still working, steadily trending higher. 20% gain. JWN also has over 20% of its float short. No wonder it's up 20% during that time. But once again, you want to really just keep most of your profits. You draw that uptrend line. It closes below that uptrend line. You are out. All right, everyone. I'm going to go and wrap it up here. Thumbs up if you like the video. If I really have, I do not know why people put their faces and people want to see people's faces during these videos. Every YouTube video or stock market video that I watch where there's a person's face in the corner of the screen, it drives me nuts because 90% of the time they start talking about something that their face is covering. So I don't plan on putting my face on these videos unless it's completely requested. So keep that in mind. I have no qualms with doing it. I just don't want to do it, and I don't understand why people like it. But if that's what people like, I'm going to give the people what they want. I got a camera. We can do it if you want me to do it. We'll see what happens. All right, everybody. Once again, hope you enjoyed the video. It was very long, but this is basically an introductory video. Moving forward, I'll be giving general market wrap-ups every weekend, and we'll be going over the top current holdings. And if you have any questions or anything you want me to address, just let me know in the comment section below. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. Aloha from Maui.